白云吃个农家乐，太平关系餐厅搬了，大金气势还在这，敌人幻想鞭炮沫子，桑拿店的外卖盒。
The memory of Charlie Kirk is starting a revolution all across America.
Oh no.
I had no idea he'd have such an impact in the UK, all the way down to marches in Australia and back up to movements in South Korea,
not gonna make
where
it.
ironically this reminds me of those recent
Okay, I
riots
got
in
the
France
list
4
working
days
now.
ago, where the far left burned a Korean restaurant in protest of French leadership, as these concurrent protests just highlight the key differences between the left and the right, as reportedly this TikTok was about Charlie.
The best part of this whole damn thing is that he is not martyr material, so his death will mean nothing. It will activate no one. It will impact few. It's great.
Completely oblivious to the vigils hitting college campuses, with huge crowds even in New York City as NASCAR races paid their respects. But also MLB games as the New York Yankees had a moment of silence alongside the NFL.
I said they were
also
going to give
honoring his life.
free
But
skin.
then we started seeing Spain paying their respects.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Watchers all the way in
yesterday they
Australia holding up signs for Charlie, with South Korean citizens singing, "We are Charlie Kirk."
They will give you free skins if everybody in collective has
Where
caused
we all
enough
knew the
mayhem.
assassination of Charlie Kirk was
Which
going to
is,
ignite
meaning
American
nothing, because there's no
conservatives and
stats.
moderates, but nobody could have imagined he would become the face of freedom for the entire planet. As at the UK's Unite the Kingdom march, which was reported as 110,000 people, but was more likely millions.
This is the counter-revolution. There's been a globalist revolution for 20 years. We are the counter-revolution. It's not going anywhere, mate.
Carrying posters of not only Charlie Kirk, but his entire
guy said,
family,
"Do you
as they
even
all
need
rallied
anything?"
behind his memory.
To Charlie's family, we all pray for you. And we hope we honour his life.
So of course, the left tried to make this about the spooky far right.
What you're seeing here is probably the biggest far-right demonstration ever held in Britain. And I've been among this crowd, and I have to say that many of the people here wearing our flag as a badge of their own one-person, as a part of equity of our multicultural, multinational society.
But who knew the UK's far right was so diverse?
そして昔のイギリスを取り戻そうとしてるこれ日本でもやらんと
Erica Kerr, this is for you. We love you. We stand with you. We will always have your back, and we love your husband, Charlie.
I have to come and support the event, uniting the whole country, bringing everybody together, bringing the 4 nations together. That's why I dress up and then come and support. I've been integrated, so I have to respect the culture.
And notice how nobody was shouting down any of those very diverse conservatives, as they're all embracing Western culture and rejecting liberal tyranny. But nothing scares a political elite more than when the common man bands together against the ruling class. So they immediately went back to their same old tired
I remember
playbook.
in the old borderlands you can dig up graves. You can't dig up graves anymore.
Of protesters
it's not
that mysteriously
appropriate.
get these signs left behind by these mysterious figures, who they later discovered are funded by none other than their own tax dollars. Kinda interesting how the same exact thing was happening in the US until the Trump administration started tracing who was funding these riots, and they evaporated overnight. So of course, to offset millions of angry Englishmen, masked Antifa and Black Bloc had to make an appearance, chanting, disgusting phrases.
This is for all the people that want to be here on our side, but
Where their coppers initially admitted the problem areas weren't with the Unite the Kingdom marchers, but the Antifa idiots, to which the Met Police marched them right into each other, just so they could later state there was significant aggression directed at officers by the Unite the Kingdom protesters, but also turning off the replies, as the mainstream media rushed to echo those sentiments, stating far-right activists with clashes breaking out.
Marching through the streets of London, one of the largest right-wing demonstrations to take place in the UK in modern times. Organized by the far-right anti-immigration activist Tommy Robinson, close by, a much smaller counter-protest organized by anti-racism activists.
I'm just really against racism.
So close at one point that right-wing marchers began throwing things at them and pushing police. London's Metropolitan Police said a number of its officers were assaulted by the right-wing demonstrators, Dorica, and that 25 people were arrested.
It really seems like every single time they start to lose control, they revert back to the same exact plays. As in this enormous march across the UK, I didn't see a single incident of property damage, compared to neighboring France that had their own riots 4 days earlier, as it initially started with the French angry at their political leadership. But then, women carrying French flags were being attacked by those not, with the Lock Everything protests beginning to build barricades in the street, making makeshift roadblocks to stop traffic. And then burning buses to stop the streets, as sadly, that wasn't the only place they used fire on the freeways, as they specifically burned a Korean restaurant, later attacking the responding French police with trash cans. But the mainstream media didn't seem to cover it like the Unite the Kingdom rally, where they seem to make it more about pressure on the government and how it started online in far-right circles, but now happens to have left-wing groups. So when the left burns down entire sections of the city, they're protesters in Paris, but if the entire community marches against the establishment, that's the far-right clashing with the police. But they only classify you as far-right, so they can later call you a fascist, as they simultaneously encourage psychos online they need to eliminate these evil fascists. But now, normal people no longer fear being called a fascist when they just murdered Charlie Kirk over allegedly being one, when all he was doing was having conversations and spreading the truth. And the more the left goes into overdrive trying to silence anybody that notices, the more the average citizen is finally saying no to their political violence. So as the calls for political violence have only amplified, people are now losing their jobs in neurology at universities. Microsoft is combing through their ranks to do the same, and even American Airlines is firing pilots who think it's okay to celebrate murder, as we're seeing a turning point not only in the US, with Americans making it their mission to dish out consequences, but now conservatives worldwide are rallying behind Charlie, as the left didn't even think he'd be seen as a martyr, but now Charlie's known globally as the face of finally fighting back. So if you appreciate my concise, sometimes lighthearted commentary on the
gotta get the guy's legs.
Welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Okay, so as promised in the last video I recorded, I got a little bit of a follow-up here. Actually quite the significant follow-up, building on the bombshell report about a trans boyfriend of the Charlie Kirk assassin, Tyler Robinson. Well, the updates are moving fast, and the picture at this point is again becoming undeniable. I know you're seeing leftists all over social media try to scrub this report or claim that it's unverified or incorrect, but the reality is we are building the motive and building very strong connections. Just as we had family members confirming some information about Tyler Robinson and his political views, well, we're now getting the exact same thing about his trans furry boyfriend, the individual known as Lance Twiggs. We're starting to build a very clear picture here. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into.
Why is it always
so
the bad guy that uses
All right, friends, so we now have
robots
confirmation of what we suspected.
as
Tyler
that
Robinson's
grunt
partner,
soldiers.
identified as Lance Twiggs, was in fact living with him at the time of the shooting. That is now confirmed. Again, like I mentioned in the previous video, the left is trying to deny this report, but now confirmed by one of Lance Twiggs' family members, the two were in fact living together. They were apparently renting one of the townhomes as seen on screen for $1,800 a month, and so anybody suggesting that Tyler Robinson was living with his family full-time, well, is simply a liar. And it gets even worse. Take a look at this headline from the Gateway Pundit. Quote, relative spills on Lance Twiggs' relationship with Charlie Kirk assassin. Quote, full of evil and hatred, feared he might hurt someone, raged against Christians and conservatives. So a relative who chose to remain anonymous spoke with a small outlet named Wisconsin Right Now, and they admitted that they were afraid that Twiggs himself, not Tyler, would actually hurt someone. And this was based on things that he would say to his own family. They confirmed that he was not mentally well, he had been transitioning for about 4 years, and that yes, Tyler Robinson was Twiggs' boyfriend. The family member said that they distanced themselves from Twiggs' constant hostility towards, quote, conservative ideals